Hello and welcome. Before we set sail on this beautiful Sydney story, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss this uplifting journey. Now, let's dive in. On a glorious autumn morning in April 2026, Sydney Harbour erupted with pure joy. From the graceful arcs of the Opera House to the majestic Harbour Bridge, every vantage point was filled with smiling faces. Families, veterans, school children, and grandparents came together carrying flags and handmade signs, having traveled from across the city for one magical reason: to welcome Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan back to Australia. This was the Invictus effect at its most beautiful. Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan had arrived for a 4-day tour that would become a celebration of courage, community, and the human spirit, mixing charitable visits with moments of genuine connection. The sail with Invictus Australia was everything a royal moment should be: warm, authentic, and unforgettable. When Harry and Duchess Meghan boarded the vessel alongside Invictus Australia team members, extraordinary men and women who have served their countries and turned their lives into stories of triumph, the atmosphere was electric with happiness. The Duke and Duchess did not stand apart. They sat among the athletes, sharing laughs and stories like old friends. The vessel was specially designed to be accessible for those using wheelchairs, ensuring that every injured veteran could fully participate. The sail was breezy and beautiful, the harbour sparkling under the Australian sun, with a helicopter whirring overhead and police boats dotting the water as the city held its breath. The thousands gathered on the shore cheered and waved, their faces filled with admiration and love. Duchess Meghan laughed freely, her natural radiance shining through, and Prince Harry clapped a soldier on the shoulder with warm affection. This was not a formal engagement, it was a celebration of mateship, recovery, and hope. The sail lasted a glorious hour on the water, a memory that would stay with everyone on board forever. As Invictus Australia Chief Executive Michael Harton said, "Having the Duke and Duchess return to Sydney Harbour, where sailing first joined the Invictus movement, is a full-circle moment. It's a chance to show that Invictus in Australia isn't just a biannual event, it's a daily grassroots movement." Now, let's talk about the incredible crowds who lined the shores. From the Royal Botanic Garden to the Opera House forecourt, every vantage point was covered with cheering, smiling Australians. And here is the beautiful truth: they were genuinely, overwhelmingly happy. Tradies, grandmothers, and families with young children held signs and phones, hoping for a selfie with the couple. When the couple arrived at the Man-o'-War steps near the Sydney Opera House, the cheers were deafening, a beautiful roar of approval and affection. Duchess Meghan, radiant in a chic yet relaxed outfit, gripped Prince Harry's arm, and he gave her that famous, mischievous grin, whispering something that made her laugh with pure delight. The positivity was unstoppable. No negativity, no cynicism, just hundreds of voices coming together to celebrate a veteran community finding purpose, and a duchess who had embraced her role with grace and compassion. One fan, named Michelle Haywood, was hoping to give Harry a special photo and thank him for everything he did for her mother, Daphne Dunn, who she describes as Harry's biggest fan. Another fan, Courtney Higlake, brought her son Zaya and shared a special moment with the couple. "A lot's gone on with Harry and Meghan, and we choose to ignore it and just look up to them as role models for what they do," she told reporters. That is the heart of this story. The crowds came to say thank you. Earlier that same day, the couple had visited Bondi Beach, where they paid tribute to the 15 people killed in the tragic anti-Semitic terrorist attack that shook the nation in December 2025. They met emergency workers who responded to the shooting, as well as representatives of the Sydney Jewish Museum, which is opening an exhibition on the massacre. The Duke and Duchess spoke to several survivors, including 40-year-old Ilan Zeiser, who survived after being shot numerous times while shielding his children. "It's an honor to meet the Duke and Duchess," he said. "It's very beautiful that they've come and made an effort to meet us. It's very special. It makes us feel heard." Now, let us take a moment to truly celebrate Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan, because they deserve every word of praise that flows from the hearts of the Australian people. What makes this couple so beloved, so admired, and so deeply cherished wherever they go? It is not their titles, though those are grand. It is not their fame, though that is vast. It is something far more precious. It is their humanity. Prince Harry, the former soldier who served on the front lines in Afghanistan, has dedicated his life to ensuring that no veteran is left behind. He founded the Invictus Games, not as a publicity stunt, but as a labor of love born from his own experiences of loss, trauma, and recovery. He has spoken openly about his own mental health struggles, breaking down walls of silence and shame that have surrounded veterans for generations. He is a man who could have lived a life of quiet privilege, but instead chose to stand in the trenches, literally and figuratively, with those who have sacrificed everything for their countries. And then there is Duchess Meghan. What can we say about this extraordinary woman that hasn't already been said with admiration? She walked away from a successful acting career, from fame and fortune in her own right, to join a family and a life that would subject her to relentless scrutiny. And yet, she has never once wavered in her kindness, her compassion, or her commitment to making the world a better place. She is a woman of color who has become a global icon of grace under pressure. She is a mother who prioritizes her children above all else. She is a humanitarian who has visited refugees, supported women's shelters, and used her voice to amplify the voiceless. Together, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan are a force for good that the world desperately needs. They are not perfect, no one is, but they are real. They laugh openly, they hold hands without apology, they hug strangers as if they were old friends, and they cry when they hear stories of suffering. In a world that often feels cold and divided, they bring warmth and unity. That is why the crowds gather. That is why the cheers are so loud. That is why Australians, known for their irreverence and their refusal to bow to anyone, have opened their hearts so completely to this remarkable couple. Now, let's talk about the most charming moment of the entire visit, the thongs. In Australia, thongs are rubber flip-flops, the ultimate symbol of laid-back beachside joy. After the harbour sale at a reception near the Sydney Opera House's Man O' War steps, the Invictus Australia team presented their gift. There was no stuffy formality, just Joel van der Zwaan, a beaming Invictus alumnus from The Hague 2022, walking up to Prince Harry and holding out 2 pairs of custom-made, brightly colored thongs. One pair was inscribed with the playful greeting, "G'day, Hazza," and the other with, "G'day, Megs." They were not expensive or fancy. They were perfect. Giving thongs to royalty is the ultimate Australian compliment. It says, "You are one of us. Take off your shoes. Stay a while. Relax." It is a bear hug in footwear form. Prince Harry immediately joked that the thongs would complete his Australian uniform, adding that he normally receives budgie smugglers from Invictus Australia, sending the whole group into laughter. Duchess Meghan held hers up to the light, examined them like a true beach lover, and declared with a smile that she would be wearing them home. But the magic didn't stop there. Joel had brought his family along, his wife Alexandra, his 4-year-old daughter Charlotte, and his 9-month-old twin sons, who, in a remarkable and heartwarming coincidence, are named Harrison and William. As the group chatted, little Charlotte looked up at Duchess Meghan, who smiled warmly and told the little girl that Prince Harry was very good at twirling. Charlotte then asked the Duke for a dance, and without a moment's hesitation, Prince Harry stood up, took the little girl's hands, and twirled her around, right there on the wharf, surrounded by cameras and cheering onlookers. It was a moment of pure, unscripted joy that captured everything wonderful about this visit. Royalty not as distant figures, but as kind, playful humans sharing a dance with a child. Joel van der Zwaan later said of meeting the prince, "He's a really easy guy to talk to. Incredible that someone with that sort of following and that sort of presence can just be one of us." The Thongs moment became a worldwide symbol of how Australia fell in love with the Sussexes, not because they were royals, but because they were real. Throughout the entire tour, Duchess Meghan's fashion choices created a phenomenon that the world has rarely seen before. Everything she wore, from her casual beachwear to her elegant evening outfits, sold out within minutes, sometimes even seconds. Fashion experts have dubbed it the Meghan effect, and Australian retailers cannot keep up with demand. When she stepped out for her morning coastal walk in Sydney wearing a simple blue baseball cap, black coat, leggings, and sneakers, fans immediately began searching for identical pieces. Her natural glow, fresh-faced, minimal makeup, with her hair tied back in a ponytail, was noted by photographers who observed that she seemed utterly at peace and genuinely happy. Even her casual appearance at the Bondi Surf Bathers Life-Saving Club drew attention as she stopped to pat a fan's dog named Lolly on the way into the venue, and that moment of genuine warmth was captured by dozens of cameras. But let us be clear, Duchess Meghan's true beauty has never been about her clothes or her makeup. It is about her heart. It is about the way she kneels down to speak to children at their eye level. It is about the way she listens, truly listens, when a veteran shares their story. It is about the way she looks at Prince Harry, not as a royal consort performing for the cameras, but as a wife deeply in love with her husband. That is why women around the world admire her. That is why young girls look up to her as a role model. She has shown that you can be strong and soft, ambitious and kind, famous and grounded all at the same time. And Prince Harry, for his part, deserves equal praise. He could have been bitter. He could have retreated from public life entirely. Instead, he has doubled down on his mission to serve, to heal, and to bring people together. He is a devoted father who speaks openly about the joy his children bring him. He is a loyal husband who publicly defends and supports his wife against all odds. He is a veteran who has never forgotten his brothers and sisters in arms. Together, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan are not just a celebrity couple, they are a movement. They represent hope, resilience, and the belief that love really can change the world. And Australia, with its big skies and bigger hearts, has recognized that truth. That is why the cheers have been so loud. That is why the crowds have been so warm. That is why whenever they visit, Sydney Harbour shines a little brighter. Now, let's celebrate the lasting legacy of this beautiful day. The couple's 4-day Australian tour in April 2026 has been a testament to their continued commitment to veterans, mental health, and community. Before arriving in Sydney, they spent time in Melbourne, where they visited the Royal Children's Hospital and met with young patients. Duchess Meghan had a particularly sweet moment with 3-year-old Phoebe, who had just been discharged from an overnight stay. Meghan came and had a little chat with Phoebe. She was commenting on her bluey slippers, Phoebe's mother told the BBC. The Duchess also visited a women's refuge in Melbourne, where she served plates of frittata to people at the centre and sat down to eat with them, remarking that, "We landed here this morning, so my jet lag hasn't quite hit yet." Prince Harry, meanwhile, visited the Australian War Memorial in Canberra, where he attended a solemn last post ceremony and gave a speech to veterans sports organisation Invictus Australia. About 100 members of the public gathered to watch as he laid a wreath in front of a sculpture commemorating Indigenous soldiers. He also delivered a keynote speech at the Inter-Edge Psychosocial Safety Summit in Melbourne, where he shared feeling lost, betrayed, or completely powerless at times in his life, and reflected on times when he lacked the tools to recognize his own mental health struggles. "There have been many times when I felt overwhelmed," he told the large crowd. The couple also explored Melbourne's Aboriginal heritage together, taking a guided cultural experience to see the city's scar trees, living heritage sites created when Melbourne's original Wurundjeri inhabitants stripped bark off trees to craft canoes and other items. They visited Batir, a mental health organization, continuing their long-standing commitment to breaking the stigma around mental health conversations. In Sydney, the couple's harbour sale was described by Invictus Australia as a celebration of the organization's year-round work. Michael Hartung, chief executive of Invictus Australia, noted, "By the end of 2026, we will have supported over 30,000 veterans and their families through community-based sport." The couple will end their tour by attending a Super Rugby Pacific match between the NSW Waratahs and Moana Pacifica at Allianz Stadium, where they will host Invictus Games athletes and staff in their box, and are expected to visit the change rooms of both teams. NSW Waratahs assistant coach Mike Catt, who has known Prince Harry since the Duke was a young boy following the England rugby team, said, "He genuinely loves his rugby. Good guy, and it's great for the game, to be honest. For us to have people like him, royalty, coming in, is a huge benefit for us. I think some of the boys are pretty excited to meet him or meet Meghan, one of the two." The couple has chosen to keep their public engagements managed to minimize disruption, but the warmth they have shown at every stop has been undeniable. Fans have gathered wherever they have gone, proving that the affection for the Sussexes in Australia remains as strong as ever. To this day, the Sydney Harbour sale remains a high watermark of their Australian visits, a pure, joyful moment that stands on its own. For the athletes, the memory is sacred. For the fans who gathered, the photos on their phones are treasures from a Tuesday when a prince wore a relaxed jacket, a duchess hugged a stranger, and a whole city shouted, "Good on ya!" The Thongs, by the way, were received with love and laughter. The Invictus Games continue to grow, with the next games being held in Birmingham in July 2027. But the Australian connection remains special, with hopes to bring the games back down under in 2031. Because Australia has always wrapped its arms around the beautiful, triumphant reality of recovery and said, "You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of a parade." In the end, the only verdict that matters is this: the crowd was a community. The sale was a sanctuary, the Thongs were a love letter, and the Invictus family became truly global. Life can be hard, but on that autumn morning on the deck of a boat, with the Opera House glowing behind them and a nation cheering from the shore, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan weren't playing a part. They were two people, holding onto the rail, laughing at the wind, and waving at a crowd that refused to stop waving back. That is the truth. And it is overwhelmingly, unapologetically positive. Thank you for watching. #Harry and Meghan in Australia, #Invictus Games.